What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and this video, I could not let the day go by without talking about this Avatar Legends, the fighting game. I think that's a to-be-determined title. It's what it's called right now, but I think they might change it as time goes on. This game, to my opinion at least, came out of absolutely nowhere. I think people started finding this from the Steam page. It got a trailer, it got some info that people have, learning from Steam. We'll take a look at it and go through it kind of one by one. But let me tell you something. The game looks freaking awesome. Starting, I think, just with the visuals. This is such beautiful. I mean, you can see it even behind me. Got a nice little picture, but you watch the trailer and holy dear God, just so beautiful. And the move sets that these characters have. It seems sounds a little simplistic. I don't think this is going to go like up against a Street Fighter or anything, but this is kind of awesome. It's coming next year. And of course, don't forget, and this is something I'm going to be covering God knows how much, probably a ton. Do not forget that the rumor and the talk is 2027 is that like bigger Avatar like RPG game. I covered it a few years ago, and I remember watching an interview with a guy who works with these companies and is kind of like a liaison between them, and he had said at the time he thinks it was going to come out in 2027. So this game could kind of be, just something not like these garbage tier Avatar games that we're kind of used to getting, something with substance, but then the year after, it's go time, right? A legitimate AAA-ish budget Avatar, The Last Airbender game, which, I mean, that just makes my day, doesn't it? So, okay, you're seeing the trailer, B-roll, as I'm talking about it. Let's look at Steam and let's look at what they say about this. So, 12 playable characters at launch, with many more released via season mode. Selectable support characters influence your fighting style and grant special moves. It's got a unique flow system with movement-centric gameplay. It has a single-player campaign with original narrative, combo trials, gallery mode, and best-in-class netcode and crossplay. And then additional features will be announced soon. Avatar Legends, the fighting game, is a working title. The official title will be determined at a later date. I think this thing is coming. I saw it was coming to PS4, PS5, Switch 2, and PC. I didn't see Xbox. Now, that was just me. Maybe other people have seen Xbox. So pencil that in, but maybe, have that eraser ready just in case. But it's coming out in a wide area of places. I don't know why it's coming out on PS4, but not Switch 1. Like, if it can do PS4, Switch 1, I think, is less powerful than PS4, but similar, scope of things. I don't know. But beyond all that, okay, the game is looking awesome. It's, from what I saw, it's 1v1. So actually, that support character thing actually caught, because I didn't read that before I recorded this video. That caught me by surprise. So that's kind of cool. I'm a fan of that. Again, I think that is a little simplistic, right? Just 1v1. Well, not even simplistic. It just takes it back down to the basics, I'm just focusing on one character at a time, having maybe that support person that can, well, as they say, like influence your fighting, right? Maybe it's not like a swapping in, swapping out type thing, but I think it's hand-drawn, I believe they said, and I just can't get away from those freaking visuals. And not just, I mean, look, there's like how the characters look and the backdrop, like kind of matching, the front. But another thing is just like the movement. They're obviously using these techniques and using the elements. And Avatar, I feel like, is such a almost underappreciated game for like any type of genre. I think like a AAA RPG thing would be phenomenal to see what you can do with rocks and stone and water and fire and all this stuff. But something like this, to be able to pull off these moves, I mean, you see with a couple of characters, like they're creating things out of thin air. They're using them as kind of like springboards to do like the next move. Like, it just artistically, in terms of how it looks amazing. And then you can imagine like these styles, but like seeing these water, I don't even know what you want to call it, like waves, I guess, right? Like slashing the characters. It looks so good. Even if it is maybe going to be a little bit more simple, I think they have to be very careful with that season mode, because at least what I saw, enormous positivity, okay? Like, most people, I think, are very much on board with this. I have seen a lot of people really wanting as many characters as possible. And I think that's very fair. Be something like this, I think you probably want to jam as many of them in as humanly possible. The issue is that if the base game is 12, and the narrative thing I want to talk about in a second, but if it's a more simplistic game, if you're charging, man, 50, 60, 70 bucks, that's already going to be, a little on the line. And then if you're going to have like the same amount of characters as DLC that you have to buy DLC packs for. There's right ways to do this. There's wrong ways. Normally, fighting games fall in the wrong way category. They tend to be a little bit more greedy than the average gaming genre. And just to touch on that narrative before I forget about it and end the video, that's really cool because I could also see a game like this opting out of that, just saying, hey, it's a 1v1. We got a couple characters. We'll add more. A little simplistic. It'll be like $40 and that's it. There's nothing else. And even some of those like extra modes you can kind of see maybe for a game that's not like this, to be honest with you, because of the narrative thing, but maybe it's things that a game would put in just to kind of pad itself, right? And honestly, some of those modes, like kind of at the end, combo trials, right? It's like, okay, I mean, those things, you need like tutorials and to get people kind of into it, but some of those things can be used kind of as padding just to kind of add length to the game, not really for substance, but to add a unique, single player mode with narrative and all this stuff, that to me at least shows early on, beyond I think the visuals and that it doesn't look like something that like 10 people came up with like a year ago and college students that just like made this game. It seems like there's like legitimate stuff going on here, but then to know that there's going to be like a single player mode, even if it's like 2-3 hours, I think back to my personal favorite, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I highly appreciate that narrative. It's nothing crazy. It's not winning any award, right? But I thought it was a massive amount of fun. And not saying you have to do it because that's just such a different kind of thing, but the narrative and storylines in All-Stars was not long. It's not crazy. It's not 30 hours. It's nothing like that. And it's not going to compete with even Mortal Kombat's, I think, kind of, to take it way more seriously than others, but Tekken, Street Fighter, all this stuff, you're not expected to compete against that, but just to have, maybe it's a 2-hour, maybe it's a 4-hour thing, that still, I think, adds something to the game. So I'm super pumped. I'm not even a fighting game guy. I mean, I have a couple. I'm into Mortal Kombat. I've played some Street Fighters, but I'm really, like, that Invincible game looks really cool. The Marvel fighting game, that looks really cool. Like, I'm willing to try them even if I'm not, like, and I want to support them, especially something like this. I want to support the idea and the execution, that they're willing to kind of do something like this. And I will be there day one for that RPG game as well. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.